Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Tia.
And I'm your host, Ecouia.
Welcome to the Wig Life Podcast.
For wig lovers and wearers navigating life.
Because it's not just wigs, it's life.
Let's get into the episode.
Alrighty, Ecouia, why don't you tell the listeners who you are, what you're about, what's going on, what's the deets?
Okay, so I am Ecouia. If you've never seen me in the history of your life or you never heard me, I have a business called Silky Sacks where I invented a bag that you can store your wigs in. We also sell luxury hair care products. And then I also have a YouTube channel where I do wig reviews and just teach about wigs with care and all that kind of stuff. And so we have come together to make this beautiful podcast. Why don't you tell us about you, Tia?
Oh, wait. Can we reverse up a little bit? Because you said that you invented something?
Yeah.
So what did you invent?
So I invented this bag called a Silky Sack, and it's basically a luxurious velvet lined bag with silk lining, and you store your wigs or hair extensions in there. And the thing about a Silky Sack that makes it different from all the other wig storages out there is that silk lining really helps to keep your wig style and to help just take care of it, because a lot of times we store our stuff in plastic. Plastic does dry your wigs out over time. And so the silk lining just helps to lock moisture in, helps the hair to glide. And then the cool thing is you can like roll it up. You can put it in your purse. You can put it in your closet. Because I know if you wear wigs like we do, they take over. They take over the room, the space. Yes. So that was the whole concept behind it, is just making a more convenient and luxurious way to store your bag. And then also to preserve it, really preserve it. Because a lot of the ways we store it really doesn't preserve it. Of course, all, especially synthetic wigs, you're going to have to replace over time. But, we want to get the most out of the wig. So that was the point of that.
So I do mostly synthetic.
Yeah.
And I have reviewed her Silky Sacks, by the way. So if you want to really get the deets on them, please go check it out, because they actually are luxurious.
Oh, thank you.
And so they can be used with synthetic, right?
Yep.
And I really love them. So.
Oh, thank you.
You also talked about you have some luxury hair care products.
Yeah.
So what kind of?
We sell like the hair clips, flat irons. We're coming out with some more products, so stay tuned this year. But yeah, so we are going to be getting into selling hair as well and wigs as well. But right now we just have more like flat irons, the bands to help you melt that lace, ladies. What else do I have? Barrettes. So, we're at www.silkysacks.com, so check it out.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yes. All right.
So I am Tia. You probably know me as Tia Maria, and I am a wig coach and a wig educator on YouTube. I also have a course, an online course that you can take. It's called Wig Wearers Essentials. It is chock full of everything that you need to know about wig wearing, from literally beginning to end, just every term, every tip, every trick. So if you really want to know exactly what it is that is all about wig wearing, it's in this course, so you can check that out. And everything we talk about in the podcast will be linked down below.
Yes. In the show notes, or if you're watching on YouTube, in the description box.
Yes. And yeah, what else do I do? I also have a website called TM Wigs. So I'm a retailer for Tressalore. Mm-hmm. I'm also a retailer for the Hair Grip, which is really awesome. They are a wig grip, which we all need.
Yes.
But they come in sizes, and they're the only ones that come in sizes.
That's dope.
So they come in small, medium, and large.
Yeah.
And I found over my wig journey that that's a struggle. Like, wig sizes in general is a struggle.
Yes.
But it never occurred to me that if your wig grip also didn't fit properly,
right,
and then also your wig,
yeah,
that could be a problem. So then when I found the hair grip and they wanted to work with me, and then I was like, hey, could I retail for you? Because I really think this would be a great marriage for some of the wigs that I was selling to. So
absolutely.
Don't
forget your Facebook group too.
Oh, yes, I do. She's like, plug your Facebook group.
Yeah.
No, I have a Facebook group. It is called Tia Maria Wigs Hangout, because I do sell wigs. They're called doll baby wigs. These are wigs that I find. I kind of scour wigs that either have been discontinued styles, discontinued colors, disregarded things
Right.
that either you may not even have known they existed because they're older styles, they're disregarded. Nobody cares. They're in the they're in the back of the store. Nobody's gonna buy them. And I kind of bring them life. I make them ready to wear if they have lace. I might pluck them. I might have to straighten them. I have gone so far as to custom dye some of them.
Yeah.
I bring them life, and then I do them and I sell them live on my channel. So yeah, I have those as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do a lot of things.
Yeah, you do.
When it comes to
Busy girl. I love it.
just a little bit.
And I think I have to say this, because I say this to you personally, but I have to say this publicly. I think it is so cool that you're a wig coach. I think that's just an amazing testament of where we are in time, that you can create your own kind of job and something that people really need, helping people with, issues, their insecurities, the knowledge, whatever it is that they need when they have to wear wigs, especially people who are wearing wigs for a medical reason. I think that's so awesome that you provide that. So,
well, thank you.
If you need that, you need to hit my girl Tia up. It's important. I love that.
We have our podcast that we're going to be doing once a week, and we'll get into this a little bit later in the podcast about what this is going to be about, what is going to be going on, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about sort of our personal journeys and things and businesses.
Absolutely.
But I've been a coach for a long time.
Yeah.
And someone might say, like, why a wig coach, right?
Yeah.
I think in general, like, even when we were talking about topics,
Right.
sometimes even within the wig community, I think we forget that because we might personally be so understanding and know what we're doing, that other people can be so far to the start line.
Right.
It's like, why would you want a wig coach? Like, why would you even need that? So I think sometimes it's like that understanding that, people may not be where you are, and they may need help to get there. And it's okay. If you don't need that help and you can just go onto YouTube and watch a video and figure it out, that's awesome. But, especially like you were saying, if someone is coming to wigs for medical reason,
it's a
that can be
ballgame.
super overwhelming.
Yes.
The feelings about losing hair under those circumstances.
Yes.
Then the billion videos on YouTube, which is great.
Yes.
But it's like weeding through there's just so much.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, that was why I created the course.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, sometimes you need to cut the noise, and it's like, okay, please just tell me what I need to do.
Yeah.
How do I program this TV? I don't want to read the manual.
Yeah, exactly. And I think too, sometimes, even though we have so much information online, sometimes that can be overwhelming, or you sometimes have very specific questions. And believe it or not, it's not always easily accessible, because even with searches, it's all about what you type in there is what you're going to get that comes up.
Right.
So if you're not asking, quote unquote, the right questions or the right way, you may not even get to what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And I know I've done that. I'm sure you have too, a million times. Try to say something a different way when it would just be so much easier. It's kind of like when you call for customer service and they're like, option 1, do this, option 2, option 3. And you're like, none of these are my options. I just need a human.
I'm like 0,
right. I just need a human. So
I'm like, speak to a representative.
Exactly. So I think that's so cool that, like, if you need something very specific, and if you want something very specific, or just somebody to talk to about what you're going through and feel confident about that, or have comfort in that, that's an option. So I think that's super dope.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
How did we get here?
I know, right? So,
because this is crazy. Because we're filming this right now.
Yeah.
And I remember we'll go into the details.
Yeah.
But it's just like the fact that it was sort of like this conversation, and we met in person, and it was kind of like, we had this like seed of an idea, and the fact that it's like coming to fruition right now is crazy.
Right? It is.
But like, how did we even get to the point of here?
Yeah. So if you are, like I said, we both have YouTube channels. So you may be one of Tia's doll babies that are listening. You may be one of my silky chicks, as I call my community on YouTube.
Doll babies, hi, silky chicks.
Yes, that are listening. So you may have found us that way, or you may have just found us because you listen to podcasts and you want to find something new and about wigs to listen to. And so, anyways, going back to YouTube, me and Tia, being wig reviewers, Tia reached out and was like, hey, let's collaborate. And we usually, as we're doing now, collaborating at the top of the year, about, something, whether it's how to make videos or how to be a reviewer or just something, we've always collaborated.
Tips. It was tips. About, like YouTube or something. So that would have been, 3 years ago now?
Yeah. 2020 and 2021. That's crazy. Time goes by so fast.
2020, 2021.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 2023.
I know.
It's crazy.
So it would have been... Well, we would have contacted in 2020 to do 2021.
Yeah.
And then contacted the end of 2021 to do 2022.
Right.
Yeah, because I was like, wait a second. We didn't skip a year.
Yeah, no. So we collabed and end up really building a friendship, not just online, but off too. Mm-hmm. And Tia kind of approached me with like, look, I'm thinking of this idea of doing a podcast. And it was funny because I was thinking of the same thing, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know if I would have did it because it's just so much work, and I already feel so much work, overwhelmed, and so
YouTube in general is so much work,
it's
and then podcast is another level of that. So
I found comfort in I do want to do it, and this is somebody who can support me and get lost and overwhelmed with me.
Yeah. Right? And like we talked about this before.
Yeah.
We have similar viewpoints on approaching YouTube.
Yeah.
And the great thing about YouTube is it's YouTube. So you can use it for whatever. If you want to do it as a hobby, an outlet, a creative outlet, just, if you want to highlight things just to highlight your business or something, school projects or like whatever. Like there's so many things you can use it for, and that's great.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But we always looked at it, and in conversations, and this is what got my mind brewing, is like as we were talking about, the conversations really started talking about when I left my full-time job to start my own business.
Yeah.
And, I was asking her for advice in terms of like, like my online website and things, just like business stuff.
Yeah.
And getting her response. And I'm like, okay, like she about her business a little bit. I was like, okay. And realizing that we had similar mindsets in that way.
Yeah.
And knowing that you still worked a job and then still had your business and was serious about both.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to find in any capacity.
Yeah.
Let alone online. Because you meet people, like you were saying, it's great to connect online.
Yeah.
And that can be a bonus.
Right.
But you never know if that's like real.
Gonna translate.
Right. Or if it's real even.
Yeah.
Or if it's just like an acquaintance online because you're in the same genre or whatever.
Right.
So as the conversations go on over a couple of years, you're like, okay, you're getting a little piece.
Yeah.
But as we were talking, and I'm like, hey, I think if we did this together, it wouldn't be like the dreaded class project,
right?
Where you're sitting around like your
group work,
and that girl right there is not going to
pull her weight, and
know that,
you're
right?
You're gonna have to overcompensate for her not doing what she's supposed to do, or he,
because I remember I had wanted to do a podcast. I think I had been thinking about it for like a year. I had been, I always research and continue to do that with YouTube. That was the other thing I think we started connecting on.
Yeah,
was sharing the channels that we
advise. Oh, Tia, did you see this? Yeah, like the new updates
about YouTube advice.
Yeah, about different things and different strategies. Because I think that was our big thing. Mm-hmm. Like we really strategize what we're doing. We're not
favorite,
just throwing
like
stuff.
YouTube channels.
Yeah. So just
YouTube channels about YouTube.
Yeah. So just really supporting each other and trying to help each other. Really. Win and share, because that's another thing I think that happens, that people feel like people don't really support or aren't really genuine.
And supporting each other's businesses.
Yeah.
So we were doing that more too.
Yeah.
So I think it was just that, like not testing each other, but the more we learned and the more that happened, it was like, okay, because we had talked about that too.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. There's space for everybody.
Yes.
Everybody has their gifts.
Yes.
And even in the same space, everybody has their gifts.
Yes.
So like in the wig space, you have gifts that I don't have.
Right.
Okay, we're still in the same wig space. So for me, it's not like even a competition.
Right.
Because the thing that you're doing, it's like a food line, right?
Right.
Like you're sizzling up the steaks. I'm making the desserts.
Right.
What does that you know what I'm saying? Steaks
right.
don't have nothing to do with what I'm doing.
I'm going to go even deeper into that too, because if you've never seen us, Tia's biracial, I'm a Black woman, and I think that we are trained as minorities that there can only really be one maybe 2 to occupy a space. But we can't all operate in that space. There's not enough opportunity. There's a scarcity, I think, mindset, or that saying, crabs in the barrel kind of
too.
Yeah,
then that gets
right, or crabs in the barrel. That that old saying, that mentality. And I think sometimes people kind of buy into that. And when I say buy into that, I mean by competing with each other and not feeling like, well, I can't help you because there's only so much opportunity. So if I tell you how to do this, then and not realizing that if we both do well, then you are giving me opportunity because you're showing that it can be done and that it will be done, and you're opening up doors for other people, not just before you but after you. Like, I feel like we owe that to our ancestors to do as well as we can do, and then we owe that to the generations and people coming behind us, and even the people that are amongst us. The more something is successful, the more opportunities that are created. So I really
well, even
like
take
that.
Race off the table. Let's just talk about as women.
Oh yeah.
So there's like you're saying, there's so many layers to that. Yeah. It's like, even as women, we are kind of brainwashed.
Yeah, there only can be one.
Right.
There only can be one.
Or that, I feel like we had this conversation before.
Yeah.
Like that scarcity, or like there's only so much pretty in the room.
Right.
Says who?
Right.
Because I go into a room and I see a lot of pretty women. Right. I'm not like, ooh, she's pretty. That's it. Yeah. That's it. Everybody else leave.
Yeah.
Oh, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We have to open up our minds and spaces and
or
opportunities
smart girls
for
here.
multiple.
Oh, you can't. No.
Yeah.
We already got a smart girl.
Yeah.
It's like, this isn't a TV show. There's not just one role for everybody.
Right.
And the other thing is just that even within that scenario.
Yeah.
It's a puzzle. There's things that can connect together.
Absolutely.
So I just, that was, we also obviously got that vibe off of each other.
Yeah.
Because, the wig community isn't nearly as bad as others, like the beauty community or anything like that.
Yeah.
Which is fortunate.
Yeah.
But there's a division, definitely, especially between like affordable versus like name brand. It's a clear division.
Right. I would even say human versus synthetic.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I didn't even think of that, too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is definitely a division.
Sure.
So, so crazy.
I know.
Like, you can't sit at our lunch table.
So, I know for me, that was something that I really was like, okay, she's really genuine about that. She really is supportive. And that was like, okay, when you were like, do you want to do the podcast? I'm like, okay, yes, let's do it.
So, I remember the day that I decided to ask you because I was doing my little research, always. And one of the things I was doing was kind of really deciding, because I was trying to make some other decisions in terms of my business, because it was getting to a point where it's like, I can't do everything.
Right.
I think I was listening to Jessica Stansberry.
Love Jessica. Hey, Jessica.
Yeah, where she was just like, you can't do everything. It was one of those. You can't do everything, right?
Yeah.
Or I don't know, maybe it was Think Media, and
I love them too.
Because the one girl is the podcast girl, and then there's Omar Takari. I think he's with a lot of the different mobile. Because I film fully on my
he does a lot of equipment stuff.
So I feel like they were having a conversation about when Sean started bringing different people on for what reason.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I thought, so then I started leaning in and paying attention to the podcasts that I was watching and listening to.
Yeah.
And why. Because I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah.
Like, yes, subject.
Yeah.
But what was it about the podcast that kept me continuing?
Yeah.
Outside of the subject.
Yeah.
And so it was Crime Weekly was the one that made me open my eyes about you and me.
Yeah.
Because Crime Weekly has Stephanie Harlow, who was a YouTuber, and Derek Levasseur, who was on a show called Breaking Homicide, who was a retired detective.
Okay.
They came. So a YouTuber and a real-life detective who had been on TV came together and started a podcast. So there was another set of YouTubers that had true crime YouTubers that came on and did a podcast too. Yeah. Both two YouTubers I liked, but I never listened to their podcast. And I was like, what is the difference?
Yeah.
Why? Because all four separately great, right? Right. Both podcasts together, topics I love.
Okay. What
was it about that one that I was like, nah?
So what was it?
Partially, it was the dynamics between the two.
Okay.
I liked that that Stephanie and Derek came from similar genres,
Yeah.
but different points of view. I felt like it was Danielle Holland and I can't remember his name. She's on the podcast with. They were both from the YouTube true crime community. They both came up on YouTube. So I just felt like their viewpoints were a little bit too from the same.
Got it.
Still great. And if you're from that, like, people love them. They have a huge YouTube.
Yeah.
They have a huge podcast.
Yeah.
But I liked the dynamic. I liked the conversation between.
Sure.
Because Derek was like an actual police officer. So he was actually giving background. Because YouTube has a conspiracy theory for everything.
Everything.
Right. So Stephanie would be like, well, Derek, meow, meow, meow. And then they didn't release the footage and blah, blah, blah. And he'd be like, Stephanie, like, sometimes you can't release that because you're going to ruin the case. So he gave it a level of something that was missing. Yeah. And I was like, that's the thing. When I was doing the podcast on my own and when I was trying to do it, and the first couple of things that I did here and there, I was like, something felt off. Yeah. And then I was trying to rework it on my own. I didn't feel, like, I felt the passion for the project, but it not,
felt like
something was missing. Yeah. And then after we started having a conversation about some topics, and we would get into it, and I'd be looking, it's like half an hour, 45 minutes, and the intensity of the conversation, not in a negative way.
Right.
I was like, that's the thing. That's the Stephanie and the
Derek
podcast. Yeah, I was like, this is it. And I remember getting off the phone with you that day, and I texted you, and I was like, I have a question.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I was like, you can say no if you want. But don't, but you can.
You're like, don't say no.
Don't say no, but you can.
No, I'm glad we did it. I think, if you... Well, you're going to stick around, I promise, because we have some really good topics coming up.
Oh, we got some really good topics. And we put a lot of time and effort and thought into it.
Yeah, and we're going to get deep into things that, a lot of people, I feel like, talk about, but maybe not in a public forum, or are scared to say, or just don't know or haven't thought about. So we'll get to discuss that. And we'll get into not just wigs, but hair, and the differences in the different communities. And when I say communities, I'm speaking specifically about race and how we look at hair and different things and different topics, and discussing cultures, even, men wearing wigs and doing things, women, so we're going to get into all those type of things and discuss it. We're going to talk about health and wearing wigs for health reasons opposed to wearing wigs just for fashion. So, we have some cool topics, and just really my goal.
A lot of interviews.
Yeah, a lot of interviews coming up. So I'm excited about that. And so I'm just happy. I want to put out, because there's so much crazy and bad in the world. We just want to put out, really my intention is to put out some good, hopefully put out some education, and really more than anything to make you think about things that maybe you didn't think about or maybe you didn't know. And hopefully you will leave each episode feeling better, more confident, and feeling like you got an answer to something, or you're just seeing something, even if you don't agree or understand, just in a different way. Because I think that's what happened a lot after me and you would have conversations. Because even like the conversation we had about you being a wig coach, and how that really came about from your own personal experience of how you came into wearing wigs because of your own health issues. So, some of the things we talked about, I was like, well, wow, I never thought about that. I never even thought about, how a person who is suffering and losing their hair or having things happen with their hair that is not by choice. So they're kind of, I don't know if force is the right word, but choosing to wear a wig now, how that affects your mind, how that affects your spirit, how that affects your soul, how that affects how you navigate the world, how that affects how you date or your relationship you're in, just different things that really I think people just probably don't talk about or just don't think about a lot.
Well, and then are you in an environment where people don't talk about that? So then what do you do? Where do you go?
Where do you go? Exactly.
Right. Yeah, that's really important.
Yeah, you definitely need to. And so if you are a YouTuber, or if you do watch YouTube, the Wig Podcast has a YouTube channel. And so we have a playlist of our collabs that we've done.
Yeah, so prior to, as we get these podcasts going, and they'll be up weekly, if you want to see some of the stuff that we've already done together, you can see the collab. And what I would like to see happen with this show this year is really to to have some fun.
Yeah.
To expand the conversation just beyond, sort of our regular content. If you know both of us, we put a lot of time and effort into our content, and it's great. But there are some conversations around wearing wigs that I think need to be conversations. And so I do think needs to take two people, or with the interviews, another person.
Yeah.
And I think it would be a more full conversation and idea, getting that full thought process out.
Yeah.
And maybe that will push forward an understanding.
Yeah.
Because it's really easy for us to sit on, our YouTube channel with our own voice and be like, this is what it is, right? Yeah. And also when we as people hear something that maybe we don't agree with, maybe we didn't understand. Yeah. Like, there's so much space for us to grow too. So it's not really like just about sharing and being able to have understanding about our own situation. Yeah. We're allowing ourselves to grow as people too. Absolutely. And then while you guys are listening and commenting in the comments, because we love that. Yes. And definitely, this conversation isn't between us. We want to continue this going. We want this to be a very what's the word I'm looking for? Involved thing. Like, we want to hear your opinions, your thoughts. If there's topics that you would like to discuss or questions that you want answered, because sometimes in YouTube videos you can only do so much, right? People aren't going to watch an hour video or something. People tend to listen to podcasts a lot longer than they watch things. So this is, I think, especially a better forum there's a dialogue happening. Yeah, I think this is a better forum to also do that, so that if you do have those kind of questions, or if you do things that you can, because I'll be honest, sometimes you get behind in comments. You don't catch every comment. Mm-hmm. And so this is another way to, and I think even a better way to get more in depth into answering those type of questions and having those type of conversations that are not necessarily a tutorial, or I don't know, whatever. Yeah. Going a little deeper. Yeah, getting a little deeper, because it's not just wigs. It's life. It's life. It's life, people. It's life. So I think, that being said, if there are any topics, if there's any comments, if there's a question or something, we welcome you to ask things. Yes. Please give us suggestions. Be respectful. But it's okay if you're asking something out of true, curiosity. Yes. We're here to, let's put something out there. We can clean it up so that it's not, we can present it to the group. But let's not be afraid to really have the conversation that needs to be had. If it's something on your mind, then it means it's on other people's minds too. Absolutely. And so let's just have that conversation. So I think that, that's what we wanted to say for this first little session here. Yes, welcome to the podcast. Yeah, hopefully we will see you in our subsequent sessions. Yes. In the next episode, we're going to be talking about hair loss journey. So yes, if you are someone who has lost your hair for a medical reason, we're going to be talking about that and getting into that. Tia is sweet enough to really share her experience with us. So we're going to be getting into that in the next episode. So you don't want to miss that. Listen to it, and hopefully you can learn some things, relate to some things, and it'll help you as well on your journey. Yeah. Yeah. All right. We will see you soon. See you in the next one. Bye. Bye. If you enjoyed the episode and you'd like to help support the Wig Life Podcast, please subscribe and leave a rating or review wherever you like to listen. To stay up to date with the Wig Life Podcast, visit our website and follow us on socials everywhere at Wig Life Podcast. See you.